Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build video. And today I am decorating this apartment in San Myshuno. Now, I do know in the previous video I did go at length talking about how much I despise decorating an apartment, but I do have an excuse this time around. I already had this apartment done way before I ever made that apartment. Actually, this apartment was done previous to like 4 build videos that I have coming out, because the problem is with me, I really need to stop holding things off. I really should, as soon as I finish building, edit it and post it, because as soon as I start scheduling them, I make something better and I'm like, well, I don't want to show that. I want to show this now. And that's basically what I had going on with all of my videos. I was like, oh, this is such a much better build. I want to post this now. I want to post that. I actually had a whole like entire plan where I was going to post this really massive build I did discuss before. I was going to post it after my LA Street apartment build that you guys liked. I'm really happy you guys liked that. And I was going to do that, but it just didn't end up working out because I think it's always, you know, I'm not going to talk about it too much because I always talk about the different processes of doing these videos that I despise and the different processes I love. I love making the cinematic intro if I have a storyline in mind. If I don't have a storyline in mind, then I despise doing the cinematic intro. I like editing it afterwards, but actually coming up with what are my Sims going to do, that's like difficult if I don't have a storyline on hand. So for example, I love doing community builds because there's so much different things that they can do in the cinematic intro, so then I love doing that. But then when I do residentials, it's like, oh, that's quite similar. Like, you're always making food or you're always doing that. But you know what? I think they give me peace, and it shows that the build is functional to an extent, because I don't test out everything. I test what I think people normally use, but not entirely everything. Like, I think the one thing I can think about within this build that probably isn't functional, but it looks so pretty, so I don't want to mess with it, is the fireplace where the bookshelves are. Now, if your Sims do get cold, you have plenty of radiators throughout. Actually, I think you have one radiator, but think of it as plenty of radiators. You have plenty of radiators throughout the entire building that you can utilize in order to add some heat to your Sims. But with like the fireplace, you might need to shift it around, but it just wasn't working out for me. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it and I'm going to have it as I wanted, which it looks like it's kind of like the bookshelves are around it. Also, speaking of bookshelves, speaking of, you know, everything going on with this build, this is, as you guys could see in the title, a CC build. Love me my CC builds. I love doing things that aren't CC, like I said before, because it feels like it's a challenge. Like, I don't have the entire range of what I can use, so I have to limit myself. Base game is another ballpark, because base game is just awful. It doesn't even feel like a challenge, it just feels like a punishment. But with not using any types of CC, it feels like a challenge, especially when you're doing such intrinsic builds like this. But I've discussed this before plenty of times. If I ever decorate an apartment, and you can see all the apartments I've decorated on my channel, I think I've decorated this, I think this may be my 4th one. I did decorate another one before, but it was the glitchiest. It's still slightly glitchy in this one, but it was the glitchiest thing in the other version. And it was really nice as well. It was like this really, I was light academia, like there was very blues, but it was very like wooden, and it had a lot of books as well, a lot of flowers. It was very light academia. But obviously this is dark academia. But like, if you look through my history with making apartments, I do not like utilizing non-CC when I do end up decorating them, because the reason why I do mainly non-CC when I'm doing stuff, including exteriors, is because CC is so extensive, and there is just so much you add. And I don't want to create a massive, like, if I ever do a CC mansion build, like a mansion, no, well, if I ever do a mansion build, that'll be like question mark. But if I ever do a CC mansion build, I have time, because the amount of things you have to tag when doing CC build, it kind of just puts you off of doing quite extensive builds utilizing CC, because you just know it's going to be pages and pages and gigabytes and gigabytes of CC that's going to be utilized. So when you make apartments, you can really kind of like keep it niche into one thing, especially if they're like 1-bedroom apartments, which this is. A lot of the stuff that I did use for this, I think I used a lot of stuff from Harry's Chateau. Not Chateau. It's a Chateau. No. It's Coastal. Yes. I used, because I downloaded that recently and I was like, ooh, I love this. I actually feel like making a coastal house one day. But I was like, okay, I want to use the coastal set. And right now, I think you guys, depending if I have timed it perfectly, I am placing some David apartments connectable. Well, they don't actually connect. You need to use Move Objects on to make them connect. But some of David apartments sofas here. I've also used quite a bit of nostalgic living, like fans, and just I think nostalgic living from a winged llama is just so good to add like little bits and pieces. I think a winged llama is generally a great CC creator when it comes to adding little bits and pieces throughout your builds. So you can never, I'm not saying you can never, because I did make an entire nostalgic all-American house that you can see on my channel, inspired from the nostalgia living pack by a winged llama. But with a winged llama, they've got the boho living, they've got the blooming rooms, they've got so many things. And I feel like the packs are just so good for just like implementing them just throughout your builds. Like you would always see an unwinged llama tagged within probably most builders that you see, because they've got the necessities that can really go throughout your entire house, and they're just so beautifully made and they fit so perfectly in the game. Like the skins, the swatches are so nice. When using it, did I actually put all those books in my shelf? I had time, because I cannot imagine myself doing that now. But yeah, to be fair, it wasn't the most difficult thing in the world, because it took me like 2 seconds to do. But yeah, no, but as I was saying, a winged llama, you can just like add little implements of the CC throughout the builds, and I think that's just is such a great aspect within the CC packs. I was talking about myself, about how much stuff I'm going to cut out, because I just took a long break. But not a long break. I'm so dramatic. I took like a 30-second break. But what inspired me, as if you wanted to know, maybe if you're listening to this voiceover, maybe you want to know, what inspired me to decorate this apartment in this particular style is because I thought maybe for once I should decorate a house intrinsically in my style. So I've said before that the whimsical British build is very much like my style. I really love that kind of, it's nostalgic, but it's also a bit airy. Like it keeps you on your toes, but it also feels very homely and like you've lived there before. And I don't know necessarily if I ever would love to live in that whimsical British build. I know I did say before that I would love to. I don't know if I would love to live in there, but maybe visit, like B&B style kind of thing. I think I would love that. What else? I'm trying to think of, is there any other builds? Like, I think most of the builds I have inspired off of Australia, I would love to live in, but I wouldn't say it's my permanent residence because I do love darker tones within houses. Within, for example, this house, I decided to make something that I really want to live in. Now, I really want to live in a multitude of houses. I feel like life is too short to just live in one particular house. I think go off into the wind and go into so many different types of houses. So I do want to live in a lot of bungalow houses. I do want to live in a lot of apartments. I do want to live in cabins, in cottages and penthouses and just a bit of everything before eventually settling down into, I don't know what to call it, but if you've ever watched My Wife and Kids, if you think of the vibe of that house, but like a British version or an Australian version, that's basically kind of the vibe I want to live in. I love the whole orange colors of lights. I add that a lot. Even with my what's it called, even with my G shades and my filters that I use, I just really love the orangey types of lights, and then the darker colors and the rich woods. And that's what I've implemented within this dark academia styled apartment. But that's also where I kind of would love to live when I'm older. Because not only have I been reading a lot of dark academia stuff, but I've always been obsessed with that kind of thing. If I had the ability to, I would have gone to Cambridge and Oxford just for the vibes. But that's not, Cambridge and Oxford doesn't do the field I study really that much. I study media. I'm obsessed with media. So I think they do communications and maybe even journalism, but that's another aspect of media I want to go into. And maybe like, I'd like a very diversified course, and the course I did for my bachelor's degree was very diversified because it was just media throughout. I wouldn't want to specialize in it in a master's, because then I'll be just doing multiple masters, and the government doesn't give you enough money to do multiple masters. But yeah, I would have just gone to Oxford and Cambridge just for the vibes. And I would have studied because I love learning. I don't think I will ever stop loving learning, but I would have gone for the vibes of the dark academia and the rain. And it's also why I'm so obsessed to go into Scotland. You would think the way I talk, I do not live anywhere near Scotland. I live like 4 hours from Scotland. It's not, but I live in the UK. I live in the embodiment of dark academia for a lot of people, but England's just not that. Britain's just not that most of the time. I love the rain and I love the old architecture and I love all of it, but that's not the majority. That is the minority here. You will more likely see quite modern 60s, most of the buildings were, I think, built within the 60s or the 70s, around there. Everything kind of looks very mid-century, very faded mid-century. So it looks more like a liminal space rather than dark academia. I need to finish what I was saying. But yeah, I really wanted to, because I'm looking at it now, I'm almost done. I really wanted to build this just because I really would love to live in this kind of space. This is my style. If everyone and obviously the amount of greens and wood greens, like it matches with my name. It's really my style. It's where I'm looking at it, and I try to make the sim similar to me. She doesn't look like me. I think the only thing that is similar about that sim and me in real life is probably the sense of fashion I wish I had if I had the money and the skin tone, and that's about it. I kind of went crazy with everything else, but I did add little bits of my personality within this. For example, everything faces the door. There is no doors that cover the front entrance because I'm a paranoid person. I want to be able to see what's going on in the front door. So that's why there's a really small living room facing the door. There's a big kitchen because I love cooking. And the bathroom is just full of plants because I love plants and all of those things. That's loads of things I added, as well as like all of the film posters and stuff like that, because I'm just, again, obsessed with media and like this entire setup and everything. I am obsessed with it. But yeah, that was basically the build. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but if you don't want to, that's also okay. I appreciate you staying this long and listening to all of my ramblings. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. I read all of your comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.